Let's talk about thorium reactors, the nuclear technology that everyone forgot about but probably shouldn't have. Now, China has announced that it has built and operated a thorium reactor called the TMSR-LF1. This is a molten salt reactor that reportedly ran for 10 days at full power. If that's true, it's a significant development, and we haven't seen an advancement like this in thorium technology since the 1960s. Actually, the US used to lead in thorium technology, and the Oak Ridge National Lab even built a working molten salt reactor in the 1960s. Then, Cold War priorities took over and thorium development was shelved. So why is it such a big deal? Most nuclear power plants use high pressure water to cool the reactor, and if that pressure fails, there's a risk of meltdown. But molten salt stays liquid at high temperatures without needing pressure, and if something goes wrong, salt can drain into a separate tank and stop the reaction. This doesn't require any human intervention. It's basically a built-in safety net. So you can see why a lot of people are getting excited about thorium. The main advantage of thorium is that it is an abundant element, and in theory, thorium fuel cycles can potentially yield more energy per ton of mined ore. In fact, some estimates suggest that it could yield up to 500 times more energy than uranium-232, depending on assumptions of reactor design and fuel use. If we can get thorium reactors up and running at scale, we're looking at a form of energy that could be more powerful than anything we've developed before, while also being even cleaner and producing less waste. And that's probably a major advantage when it comes to public trust. Plus, we already dig up thorium as a byproduct when we mine rare earth elements. We just don't use it for anything, so that's another benefit. China is planning to construct a 10 megawatt thorium reactor in the Gobi Desert. How is it in the desert? This reactor won't use water, it just uses molten salt and CO2 for cooling and power generation. However, there's reason to be skeptical. The reason I'm a little skeptical about China's announcement is because they're not handing over the blueprints for what they say they've developed. We know that the reactor exists and that it's thorium fueled, but none of the other claims have been verified by scientists outside China. For example, did it actually run for 10 days non-stop? How were the safety systems tested? And so on. These questions need to be answered for us to verify that this information is true. And to be honest, it's not super surprising that China doesn't want to give us that information. China tends to keep its advanced technology projects close to the chest. They're racing to be the first in next generation nuclear, and they don't want anyone copying their homework or pointing out flaws. So until we get to look at the peer-reviewed data, it's all a little bit mysterious. If it does turn out to be true, we're still years away from actually being able to use thorium reactors at scale. The thorium fuel cycle requires new infrastructure, new fuel processing tech, and a supply chain that hasn't been established yet. So while it's really promising news, it's still early days for thorium reactors. We can't run our homes with them yet.